I'm just about to have a delicious big salad, and I have a little bit of this tender and really flavorful moose meat on top. Wild game like moose is actually quite healthy. I'm lucky enough to get mine as freezer cleanouts. So when people hunt moose around here, it's generally a lot of meat and too much for their families. So at the end of the year, sadly, a lot of people toss out the meat. And there's really nothing wrong with it. I usually get the meat that otherwise would probably be wasted. Makes delicious roasts, and then I can use a little bit of it from time to time to boost my iron and protein levels on things like this delicious salad. Now, wild game can be quite hard to make tender and soft like this here. It just flakes apart. So I'm going to show you my trick to marinating and cooking moose meat to make it taste absolutely delicious. And it's actually more digestible because I do have a little bit of trouble sometimes digesting meat. Eating it with leafy greens instead of starches also helps with digestion as well. It's probably one of the most ethical ways to get meat. If you can get wild game, the animal had already been hunted and the meat would otherwise go to waste. So if your friends or neighbors are hunters and they have leftover meats, a great way to add some meat into your diet without having to purchase any factory farmed meats. I mean, all the grocery store meats are factory farmed. So anyway, this is some delicious wild moose meat, and I'm going to show you my little trick to making it nice and tender. So here I have a nice moose steak, and in order to make moose nice and tender, I like to roast it in the oven. But prior to that, what I've done is I've put quite a bit of garlic granules as well as black pepper on it, a quarter of a chopped up onion, 1 clove of garlic sliced up, and I poured about a half a cup of apple cider vinegar over top and let it sit for a few hours, then turned it and then let it sit overnight in the apple cider vinegar. Now it's ready to roast on a low heat in the oven, and it's going to be so tender it's just going to completely pull apart and be absolutely delicious. So if you're cooking with wild game and you want it nice and tender and a lot more easily digestible with the apple cider vinegar enzymes helping break down the tissues in the meat, it makes it extremely tender and easy to digest. So into the oven it will go for probably 2 hours on 325. So for the first hour, I'll probably let it cook uncovered like this, and I don't add any water. And in about an hour, I will place a lid on the top and just let it steam in its own juices. So it's actually about 45 minutes into cooking time here now, and it's nice and golden on the top, browned up. So I'm going to turn it over. There we go. Let it brown up on that side, and then we'll cover it and just let it steam in the juices. Okay, so it's been another 15 minutes since I turned it, so for a total of 1 hour in the oven on 300 degrees. So I just had to transfer the meat into a dish that a cover actually fits. So make sure you have a dish that a cover fits in the first place. I'm just transferring it into this one for now, and I'm going to cover it up and pop it back in the oven for a half an hour on 300. And it may be a little bit longer now because this pan is cold, so probably another 45 minutes. And it should be nice and tender when I'm done. Okay, so here we go. Let's have a look. It smells good. Let's take a look. The steam comes out of there. And it should be nice and tender and just pull apart. And sure enough, it do. Just look how that flakes apart. Absolutely delicious.